My check, 1212. My check, 1212. Hey everybody, happy Friday for those out there. And y'all know, every time I black out my screen, I got something important I want to talk about. I want to talk about black issues while I black out my screen. I've always said this before. If you don't like me talk about black issues, you don't like when I discuss race about against black people, by all means, you can hit the unsubscribe button and never return. But I got a couple stories I want to talk about. Some of us know about these stories, and some of us don't. The first story I want to talk about is 21-year-old truck driver named Javion Magee, who was found dead in Henderson, North Carolina. He was caught. He was found hanging from a tree. Now, people tried to paint this over, as he took his own life, but come to find out, he was caught in a sundown town. For those who don't know, sundown towns, they still exist in America. A lot of us don't know that, but they still exist. And the family is trying to get justice on what happened to him, but as you know, they don't pretty much have anything to go on. And I hope that family get justice. And I honestly, I'm not promoting it, but if the family were to retaliate, I wouldn't blame them. On to the next story I want to talk about with Williams. Marcel Williams was a innocent man who was convicted of a murder he didn't commit. How did we know he was innocent? Well, according to what was happening on the forensics, they took his DNA that was, well, they didn't take his DNA, but according to the DNA, his DNA didn't match what was on the victim's. It was on the knife that was used to murder the victim. And it got to the point that even, the prosecutors who convicted him of it tried to run it back. And the mayor at the time also tried to run it back. What I mean by run it back, they pretty much tried to one point stop the lethal injection that killed him, that put him on death row. So honestly, I didn't know about this story, a few days ago. It was brought to attention, with a friend of mine. There was a petition going around, said, to try to prevent, Marcel from being, for being unalive, put on death row. But, they decided to go through it, I think a couple days ago, and they just, and he's no longer, alive. And I think they put his last words on the internet, which was, "All be to Allah." Dude, those were his last words. And what is this is and what is this? Just tell me, what are these? What point I'm trying to make is with these two stories. Now, the point I'm trying to make is with these two stories is a lot of people is focused on the Diddy situation, but they ain't really talk about these stories. A lot of people don't know about these stories. This is like like I said, this should be like another call to action for the black community, for us to stop going at each other, worried about what's going on in the celebrity life, and we should be worried about what's going on with us in our everyday lives. When stuff like this is happening. You know, like I said, man, we have two black men who was unjustly murdered. If I don't know, like I said, this has been going on for longer than I've been alive. So Honestly, I don't know what it's gonna take for the black community, for us, to get our heads out of our asses and for us to finally realize that we all we got in this situation. Like most people don't get it until something happens to them, or it happens to someone that they know. But by the time that happened, it already be too late. So the point I'm trying to make is to the black community. We gotta stop sitting around and waiting to it's too late for us to do something. Like we should already be putting laws in order, to protect our own. We should have our own groups for to combat something like this happening. It don't always have to be in a violent matter, but we should be putting laws together. Putting bills together. To protect us from the type of thing from happening. In all honesty, like we should stop leaving it up to like the politicians to do something about it. It should be on us, the people, to do something about it. You know, those were my quick thoughts. Rest in peace to Javion, and rest in peace to Marcellus. That's all I gotta say. Have a good night.